on Newark, Thursday on BBC One.
For too long, criminals have been getting away with it.
He's off and he's running down the alleyway.
But now the police and the public are fighting back. With an array of high-tech crime-fighting tools, the odds are tilting in our favour.
Technology is advancing at such a pace, it's going to change the way law enforcement in the 21st century is carried out.
As we track criminals on the streets and in the air.
This is going to be a game changer, and we are going to get more, better, faster results.
Capture crimes as they happen.
The ability to pinpoint wanted persons with speed and accuracy would be a huge resource for law enforcement.
And identify offenders faster than ever.
There are many, many crimes that can be virtually eliminated using technology.
Making our communities safe again. Thanks to a Frontline Fightback. Today, the incredible CCTV evidence that survived a hotel blaze.
He lit the fire and then just casually strolled away. Just mind-boggling that somebody could do that.
Turning detective, how the public are helping police catch criminals.
A part of me was thinking, what muppets, really? If they did an honest day's work, they'd probably make a lot more money than they did breaking in.
And searching for clues in virtual reality.
The realism behind it blows you away, really. You can pick things up and move things around. It's as real as you're going to get other than being in the scene.
Arson is one of the most difficult crimes to investigate. In many cases, the fire has destroyed most, if not all, the evidence. Finding the culprit and bringing them to justice is a lengthy and complex process.
Fire investigation is extremely difficult, and to try to determine how that fire started is a science, really.
Learning the forensic skills required for a major investigation takes years. (2 a.m., July the 25th, 2018, the height of the holiday season. Fire is sweeping through a seafront hotel in Aberystwyth. Emergency crews are at the scene. By the following day, the fire's been brought under control.
As you can see from the scene behind me, the fire service operation here is still in full swing, with the dampening down process now taking place inside the building.
A multi-agency investigation was launched to establish the cause of the blaze.
Fire itself destroys evidence, but what it also does is it contains evidence. As the property starts to get damaged by fire, it collapses onto itself and protects the evidence within that.
Richard Simnett, his partner, and their 2 boys, aged 4 and 5, were staying at the hotel and had an incredible escape.
This was the first holiday that we'd had since the start of the year. It just seemed like a nice place to go, so looking forward to a break, really. We stayed at the Tyboro Grove Hotel on the seafront. A great location, next to the pier, 2-minute walk from the town centre. The room that we had was on the top floor, overlooking the sea. It was brilliant.
For the first few days, the holiday was everything Richard had hoped for.
That day, we'd been on the beach. We'd been for a drive in the morning. We came back to Aberystwyth. Boys wanted to go in the sea, so we went into the sea till around mid-afternoon. Then decided that we were going to go to the pier for some tea. After that, we took a stroll down the promenade, took the boys back to the hotel, got them ready for bed. Pretty uneventful, pretty quiet night, until obviously things happened.
That night, Richard was woken by the sound of the fire alarm. The lower floors of the hotel were ablaze.
It was about 2 o'clock in the morning. Got woken up to the sound of an alarm, realised something was wrong.
Richard decided to investigate.
I opened the door quite quickly, got hit with smoke, realised obviously with the alarm going off there was something serious happening. Just said to my partner, we need to get out.
Emma Wilson is a frontline forensic fire investigator. It's Emma's job to investigate the origin and cause of fires where arson is suspected.
If you are in a hotel room and the corridor is filling with smoke or is filled with smoke already, then you're in a pretty serious situation. A lot of hotels undergo changes and renovations. So you have routing of new cables or you have routing of new pipework, and that creates voids and gaps between the floors, and it allows access for fire to spread in a way that it wouldn't have spread in the initial construction of the buildings.
There was a lot of smoke. There was people that stood in front of us shouting, a lot of screaming. Then I very clearly heard the voice of somebody shouting, "Stop, go back." At that point, I just thought to myself, we're not getting out this way. So I made the decision to go back to the hotel room.
Back in the room, Richard closed the door behind them. His partner called 999.
I went into the bathroom, found what towels I could, wet those, and then I put the towel across the base of the door to try and stop the smoke as best I could, and then put the other large towel I had over the boys that I'd told to lie down or get on the floor.
The fire was spreading. Richard and his family were effectively trapped.
It was at that point I thought, right, okay, I need to look for an escape route. So I went to the front window. I could see smoke, I could see the glow, the flames, I could smell the smoke, the burning, and the embers coming up. I wouldn't necessarily say I panicked, but I just suddenly thought, this is pretty serious. We need to get out of here.
With the corridor and stairs blocked, there was only one possible way out.
Escaping from fires, generally the advice is to go downwards. And the reason for that is because as you move down, you're moving away from the way the fire is going to travel upwards and outwards and the smoke is going to travel. But if that's not available for you, if your escape routes, your normal escape routes aren't available to you, then the escape that this family made out onto the roof is the best option for them.
Went through to the window on at the back of the building, looked out of that window. There was a small ledge from the slate roof, so I decided to climb out the window.
Richard got onto the ledge, then pulled his two boys after him. Desperate to escape the fire, they started to climb up the slate roof.
We worked our way up, across the ledge or across up the roof. And got up to the ridge of the roof. It's an old slate roof. It was pretty steep, not somewhere where you wanted to be at the best times. I looked back down, I could see my partner. She was clinging onto the side of the dormer window. I told her she needed to climb, she said she couldn't.
Leaving his two boys where they were, Richard climbed back down to help his partner. It was a decision that would almost cost Richard his life. He lost his footing, slipped, and plunged 35 feet. Richard's fall was broken by a metal railing. Incredibly, he survived.
I was lay on my front, with my face, my chest on the floor, and then thoughts went back to my son's being on that roof.
By now, the emergency services were at the scene.
Stay calm for me, okay?
I remember looking up at the building, the flashlight going up the building. And I think the only thing I just kept repeating was just get my kids off that roof. I can picture it like it's happening now.
Richard's partner and 2 young boys were rescued. Richard had broken his back, right arm, collarbone, and several ribs. But his actions may well have saved his family.
To get onto the roof was incredibly brave, and in this case was the right thing to do. I've certainly been involved in cases where people haven't made that sort of escape, where they haven't attempted it, and they haven't necessarily survived because they've stayed within their room or within their flat or within their property. And unfortunately, the fire has continued to spread and affect the area that they've been in.
The main thing for me was that, you know, the boys are fit and well. They weren't physically injured. We hadn't perished in that fire.
A guest in the room below died in the blaze.
I think looking at the extent of the fire now, it's quite clear that the main bulk of the fire had come up pretty much underneath where we were staying and destroyed, you know, quite quickly and ripped through the hotel.
Both internal floors of the 3-storey building had collapsed. It would be weeks before fire investigators could enter the building and start their search for clues. Later, a shocking discovery.
He lit the fire and then just casually strolled away. Just mind-boggling.
And how the next generation of fire investigators are using virtual reality to prepare for life on the front line.
The realism behind it blows you away, really. I was the biggest sceptic because I thought it was going to be a computer game, and it's so not a computer game.
Neighbourhood watch groups normally work closely with the police, keeping their ear to the ground and providing valuable intelligence. Dr Emmeline Taylor is Associate Professor in Criminology at City University of London.
Neighbourhood Watch, I think, has always had quite a sort of negative connotation or a bad reputation as just being curtain twitchers, your nosy next-door neighbour who has nothing better to do. But actually, these are really important individuals, members of the community, that are looking out for one another and ensuring the safety of their neighbours, reporting incidents, and a real vital tool in the fight against crime.
When Anshu Gautam's family home was broken into, it was the latest in a spate of burglaries in the area.
I was devastated. They did steal quite a few things, but nothing that, you can't replace, except for this necklace that my dad gave me before he died, and I'm still quite upset by that.
Members of the local Neighbourhood Watch group sprang into action. They gathered footage from several cameras, pieced together a trail of evidence, and handed it to the police.
In the past, when there was no CCTV in private homes, as far as the house is empty and nobody saw your face, you could get away with it. But that's not the case anymore. I'm extremely thankful that we have the technology now to enable us to, nail down these people and get them what they deserve.
The police obviously play a huge role in identifying and catching criminals, but they can't do this purely by themselves. Having members of the public and the community also capturing information, sharing data is really important in tackling crime. And so for any offenders who are now attempting to commit a burglary or other offence, they need to be aware that the likelihood of them being caught on camera is really very high.
Anshu had always felt Hillingdon in West London was a safe place to bring up her young family.
The area is lovely. The people here are very warm and welcoming. There's a real sense of community. Everyone does look out for each other. We do have a fair number of elderly residents, and we all know that they tend to be the easy, soft targets for criminals who, want to charge crazy amounts of money for very small amounts of work.
If she sees anything suspicious, Anshu alerts her neighbours.
We do have a WhatsApp group for this street and the neighbouring streets, and people are quite active on it. If I see a van that shouldn't really be there, I will put it out there for awareness. Not saying that there's definitely a criminal in the van, but more along the lines of, hey, there's a van parked two doors down from me, just giving everyone a heads up.
Despite its close proximity to London, there's little in the way of serious crime.
You don't hear of muggings or shootings or stabbings or drug cartels operating in the area. It's primarily crimes targeted at stealing from houses and from cars.
Many homes are protected by smart security systems. And Hillingdon has an active Neighbourhood Watch group.
We have CCTV cameras inside and outside, and they're activated by motion and sound. We also have floodlights which are activated by motion in the drive. We also have a video doorbell, which both my husband and I have the app on our phone for that.
On the day of the burglary, both Anshu and her husband were at work.
It was a beautiful day in May. I had left for a conference in East London after having breakfast with the kids at about 9, and my husband was out at work, the kids were at school.
At 3 that afternoon, Anshu got an alert on her phone. The alarm sensors had been activated.
Getting the alert through, you just hope it's, an animal in the garden or something, but it's horrible. It's shocking. You feel violated. Your personal space being, broken into like that. It's not a pleasant thing, of course. I called up 999 straight away and asked them to send somebody around.
Police were at the scene in minutes, but the intruders had fled.
My husband was here with the police when I came back home, and he was just going through the CCTV footage. The burglars had peeked into the front room and jumped over the side gate and broke into the back door to gain entry. And all of this was captured in the cameras. They then went upstairs to the bedroom and made off with some stuff. I was just glad that none of us were at home.
There's been various academic studies that looks at the expertise of burglars in comparison to everyday members of the public, in comparison to the police. What the studies show time and time again is that a burglar is very efficient in knowing the route to take around a household. They know exactly where the valuable items are typically kept, and they know which ones to take so that they're not weighed down with low value, heavy goods, for example. They know exactly what to target and what has the highest resale value.
They did steal quite a few things, but nothing that you can't replace, except for this necklace that my dad gave me before he died, and I'm still quite upset by that.
Anshu was determined not to let the burglars get away with it.
I was angry, definitely, but a part of me was thinking what muppets, really? If they did an honest day's work, they'd probably make a lot more money than they did breaking in.
The CCTV had captured clear images of the two burglars, but their faces alone weren't enough to identify them. Later, neighbours pieced together a trail of evidence that helps identify the burglars and solve the crime.
It's like building a jigsaw. You've got a particular crime, you're going to look at what's happening in the area, this camera will see a little piece of this, that one adds to it, and so on, until you've got the whole picture.
We saw earlier the devastating consequences of a fire that swept through this seafront hotel in Aberystwyth.
I could see smoke, I could see the glow, the flames, I could smell the smoke. I just suddenly thought, we need to get out of here.
An investigation got underway as police and fire investigators searched the rubble for clues. Incredibly, footage from hotel security cameras had survived and provided shocking evidence. At 1:38 a.m, a man can be seen staggering into the hotel and setting a pair of net curtains alight. He then goes downstairs and starts another fire, this time in the linen cupboard.
He lit the fire and then just casually strolled away. Just mind-boggling that somebody could do that. It was the height of the holiday season in a holiday town. There's going to be people, there's going to be families in that building. You know, it's 2 o'clock in the morning. You know, what did you think was going to happen?
Digital evidence can be amazing for a fire investigation. For example, you can watch somebody walking through the town centre and then you might catch them on several personal CCTVs, or even now Ring doorbells or similar doorbells, where they are walking past properties and they're caught for a brief period of time on that camera. And having that timeline means that we can put them in certain places at certain times, and even if we're not catching the actual ignition event or the actual fire on that CCTV, it can be helpful to be able to put together a case for the police based on timelines.
Those first images of the arsonist were just the beginning. CCTV cameras at shops and businesses around town enabled police to track the suspect's movements that evening. He was videoed drinking and playing pool in a local pub, and CCTV captured him walking away from the hotel shortly after the fire started.
They could actually pinpoint exactly what he'd done and where he'd been. They could actually piece together the route that this chap took and had a full picture really of where he'd been and what he'd done that night.
The arsonist was identified as this man, Damien Harris. Harris pleaded guilty to arson, GBH and manslaughter. The judge described it as a wicked act and jailed Harris for 16 years.
Fire scene investigation is unusual. It's one of the few forensic disciplines where we get to, as investigators, attend the scene, examine the whole thing, do some of the examinations in the laboratory, and then prepare a statement for the court and present that evidence in court. Through all of those things, we have a determination to ensure that we are finding the truth.
This fire investigation is a training exercise.
The scene we've got in front of us is suspected arson. At the moment we don't know that is the case, but the information we've received prior to arrival is suspected arson. So we're treating it as a crime scene.
Jason Dean is an experienced West Midlands Fire Service investigator.
So we're looking for damage around the door in case the door's been forced open, damage at the windows to see if the windows have been broken before the fire and then something's been introduced to start the fire. We're looking at burn patterns. We're looking for ignition sources.
But this isn't a real fire scene. Jason's wearing a virtual reality headset, and the scene he's looking at is a three-dimensional replica of a genuine fire.
The beauty of it is it's exactly the same as what you would get in a real fire scene, because you pick items up in a fire scene or look around them in a fire scene, exactly the same as we can here.
Virtual reality scenes like this are now being used to train the next generation of fire investigators.
The training that we create really does allow the person to feel like they've been in that scenario, touch things, pick things up, and then, of course, learn things from that scenario.
Virtual reality frontline training is the brainchild of Alex Harvey. Alex used to create cutting-edge video games, but has now set up a company called Reality in Virtual Reality.
One of the reasons I left the gaming industry, 6 years ago and got into virtual reality was because it was so exciting and so powerful.
Alex and his team have created a series of fire scenes based on real fires to help train fire investigators.
We don't have to say, imagine if you're a fire investigator and you find in the scene, you just put them in the scene. There's no suspension of disbelief. Your hands are your hands inside the virtual scene, and your eyes are inside a virtual world, and there's no suspension of disbelief anymore. You just carry on as if you're inside the scenario. That's why it's so exciting.
The emphasis was on creating exact copies of several fire scenes, including some where arson was suspected.
When we talk about arson or fires that have been started deliberately, obviously that's a very important thing that needs to be correct, so training people in the best way possible is of utmost importance. When we're creating these scenarios, we do want to have the instructors and the trainees have the most realistic scenes possible.
Alex used a process called photogrammetry, taking thousands of images of real scenes and using them to create photorealistic 3D replicas.
That's one of the USPs, basically, that allows you to see those smoke patterns and fire patterns as they were in the real world. Because if you're trying to recreate it in a cartoon-type, gamified way, some of the instructors and also the trainees are going to find it harder to relate it to.
Within these virtual reality scenes, trainee fire investigators can search for clues and determine the cause of the fire.
One of the most important things that we had to work on when we started designing this software was that it had to give you all the functionality that you would have in the real world. You can pull down a camera and take a photo for evidence and look at your photos later. There's a dictaphone, so you can pull down a dictaphone and record your notes.
There are evidence markers and even a virtual sniffer dog.
You can pull down the menu, press a button that calls in this dog, and then you get to watch a 360 video of the dog searching the scene. And in some of the scenes, he indicates that there is petrol or chemical used in a certain area. He points his nose and freezes and wags his tail, and you also get the audio commentary from the dog handler talking you through. Good boy.
Jason now uses virtual reality to help train the next generation of firefighters.
I've been a fire investigator for 12 and a half years and been in the fire service for 29. Fire investigation is extremely difficult, and to try to determine how that fire started is a science, really. It takes years of experience and training to get yourself to a stage where you can walk into a scene and just by looking at it you can start to work out by burn patterns, by other evidence around the room, physical evidence around the room, that the fire's been started deliberately or whether it's an accidental fire.
Jason says these virtual reality scenes, which replicate genuine fires, have transformed training.
With virtual reality, we can repeat the training over and over again. Rather than use it as an assessment tool, we use it as a teaching tool. We can interrupt it, we can change it, we can talk to the students halfway through, we can allow them to make mistakes, it doesn't affect the evidence, and hopefully put them through numerous scenes and processes that stretches their ability and their skills. can see the charring on the table. It's quite heavy to the legs on this side. We can pick the table up, well, we can evidence it and we can look at it out in the lab.
Jason wasn't immediately convinced about the benefits of training in virtual reality.
As an experienced FI with 29 years in the fire service, I was very sceptical on what it could provide us until I first used it. And then when you use it, you understand straight away how useful it is as a training tool. When you put it on, you're in the scene. If you kneel down, you think you're going to get dirty. If you move things, you think you're going to get dirty. You need lighting to illuminate the scene because it's dark. You can pick things up and move things around. It's as real as you're going to get other than being in the scene.
The experience it gives future fire investigators is invaluable.
In order to prove whether a fire's been started deliberately, you need to understand the fire scene. And the only way you can understand a fire scene is by training. And the only way you can train is by looking at a burnt building. You can't just do it from a book. So getting hands-on and learning is the best way forward.
Once qualified, the skills that have been learnt here will be put to use on the front line.
As soon as they finish the training, they're going to be in charge of fire appliances, and they're going to be fire investigation officers. And definitely the benefits that we get from the VR world, they identify exactly the same in the real world because they are real life scenes, just in virtual reality, that's all.
Alex is convinced virtual fire investigation training is just the beginning.
It's like a game. It's like creating a whole game world around your specific niche. We can do the same thing for all industries. First, all we've hit is fire investigation. The next product we're making is crime scene investigation. We're focusing on first responders because we think that market's important, but it's going to be everything.
When Anshu Gautam's home was broken into, the offenders were caught on camera. Despite the clear images, the identities of the two burglars was still unknown. Local residents decided to put together the evidence and help police solve the crime. Brian Walters helps run Hillingdon Neighbourhood Watch and is passionate about keeping the community safe.
I'm a retired Metropolitan Police officer. I've done 32 years within the police service, and I've been involved with Neighbourhood Watch now for about 20 years. Being an ex-officer, I can see what's going on out there, and it gives something back to the community.
Using a system called Online Watchlink, Brian receives alerts from the police about crimes in the area.
The whole concept of Neighbourhood Watch is to get the community in an organised fashion working with the police, so that the police send out messages, we can send out messages, we can give crime prevention advice. Essentially, it's the community working with the Metropolitan Police to defeat crime.
Tony Porter is a former senior police officer and for 7 years was surveillance camera commissioner for England and Wales.
The role of the public is now and has always been really important. Without the public, the police have lost an arm. That speaks to the long and rich relationship policing in the UK has had with the public. Sometimes it's stressed, sometimes there are issues and arguments, but generally there is a high degree of respect for the role those men and women do. And we see that with the information and the support that comes in.
Brian decided to check whether the burglars who had broken into Anshu's property had been captured by other cameras in the area.
We have an interactive map which can be viewed, which shows every camera on the whole borough and can be drilled down to a very tight area where that particular crime is committed. I was able to look very quickly and identify 5 or 6 properties that I knew would take this forward very, very quickly.
Each of the properties had street-facing CCTV cameras that may have recorded useful evidence.
It's absolutely crucial that we can harvest the footage from as many cameras as we possibly can. It's like building a jigsaw. You've got a particular crime, you're going to look at what's happening in the area. This camera will see a little piece of this, that one adds to it, and so on, until you've got the whole picture. Myself and a colleague were able to make contact with these people, say, look, we just had this burglary, this is what we're looking for, what have you got?
Brian's hunch was a good one. The cameras all contained vital evidence. The first had caught a blue VW Golf driving into the area shortly before the break-in.
You can see the vehicle come onto our area. We can see them scoping the area. We can see them driving past, coming back.
Then, the Golf is picked up again by a camera in another street.
They come around the corner, park up round the corner, so they're out of line of sight of the burglary.
Two men get out of the car and walk towards Anshu's property. It's broad daylight. They have no idea their every move is being picked up on camera. Moments later, they arrive at the property, go round the back, and break in. Building a complete picture of the burglars' movements is great evidence.
The use of technology in this case was vital, because without the important and very, very clear imagery, it might very well have been difficult to bring the offenders to justice. If they're wearing gloves, obviously the chance of DNA are much reduced. But when you've got CCTV, such clear CCTV, and the whole sequence of events, you've got the whole package.
Crucially, the burglars' faces, the direction they'd come from, and the vehicle they were driving had all been captured on CCTV.
Criminals don't want the face caught on camera because that may leave a digital trace, it may lead other information to law enforcement that can track either them or their associates or objects that have been involved in an offence or an incident. So they're very clear that they do not want to be left on camera.
Minutes after the break-in, the two burglars are caught walking quickly away from the house, carrying a bag full of stolen items.
After the burglary, you've got the evidence of them leaving with the bag, walking back to their car.
There's a woman and young child crossing the road near where they've parked the Golf. The burglars don't want to be linked to the car, so they wait until the coast is clear. Before walking back over to the car, getting in, and making their getaway. Evidence like this, from multiple cameras, is vital to any investigation.
The way I look at it, and I know officers will do the same, I'm an ex-officer, you're going to look for your opportunities in whatever crime you're investigating. And when you've got this sort of reach and this sort of number of people coming on board, it really is the community working with the police in an extraordinary fashion. It's just so good. It's absolutely critical because you can piece together exactly what's happened, you can see the suspects coming into our area, you can hopefully see the crime committed, and you can see them leaving. It's the whole package.
Crucially, the vehicle registration number of the Golf is captured on camera. For the police and for Anshu, this was a breakthrough.
The CCTV in my house shows the burglars entering. That in itself would not have been enough to catch the burglars. What the CCTV did is connect those burglars to the car that they got into, which helped the police identify who the burglars were. Before that, they were just faces.
In this digital age, CCTV is just one of many ways a suspect's movements can be pieced together.
As offenders go about their everyday life, they're shedding a trail of digital evidence, and this might be comprised of mobile phone data, so their location tracking. It might be snapshots of them on CCTV as they pass through various areas. It might be them getting on and off a bus. All of this information, once compiled together, can make a really compelling document that would enable the police to convict an individual of multiple offences.
The evidence was passed to the police, and the burglars were quickly identified, charged, and put before a court.
I'm extremely thankful that we have the technology now to enable us to, nail down these people and get them what they deserve.
James Doran and Ricky Wall were convicted of 3 burglaries, including 1 aggravated burglary.
A few years ago, without CCTV, we would not have known of the burglary till we came home that evening. And the possibility of catching people who you don't have a picture of or who you can't tie down to them being present in your house would have been close to 0.
The 2 burglars each received a 7-year custodial sentence.
Without the technology, I'm sure we wouldn't have been able to catch the burglars, so I'm really thankful for it.
Around 1,500 Hillingdon residents have joined a CCTV watch group and share footage whenever there's a crime in their area.
We've got lots of people that are willing to engage and do engage to provide the authorities, law enforcement, the police, with crucial evidence. I've been so impressed by it. After 53 years being involved with law enforcement, it's lovely to see this, People want to see criminals taken down and convicted. And, we've had some very noteworthy cases and they love it. Residents absolutely love it. I think it's a great system.
As the Frontline Fightback continues, we're looking to the future, embracing new ways of working and new technologies.
This gives them the opportunity to see things before they're in the real world. Being able to do that gives them a level of knowledge and confidence that otherwise they wouldn't be able to get to. For that side of things, it is amazing.
Whatever the event, we've just the people to organise it. Join BBC Three's Big Proud Party Agency, that's on BBC iPlayer. And talking to Dr Julie Smith about how to understand and train your brain, listen to the Joe Wicks podcast on BBC Sounds.